You're listening to Coffee and Sports from Wire to Wire Sports Network on the National Streaming Sports Roku channel.
Good morning and welcome. It is Coffee and Sports. It is the morning show powered by Wire to Wire Network. Thank you so much for making us part of your morning routine. I am Chris, and of course, that over there, that is Mo. Mo, happy Thursday to you, sir.
Happy Thursday, partner, to everybody out there joining us this morning.
Mo, the rankings of the most valuable teams in the NBA have come out. Did you see them? And if you didn't see them, who do you think is number one?
Most valuable teams? I don't know, probably still the Knicks.
Ooh, it is the Golden State Warriors.
I'm just
the
throwing
Golden
it out
State
there.
Warriors are worth $9.14 billion with a B, billion dollars. The Warriors are number one. Number two on the list, I believe, is the Knicks. Yeah, it's the Knicks at $8.3 billion. Number three, and this is why, Mo, this is why winning doesn't matter, because the Lakers are number three. And I know they see this and they're like, well, you know, if we just keep LeBron, and we got a retirement tour coming up, and we got Bronny playing with us.
There's money to be made.
That's right. There's money to be made. We're the third most valuable team in the NBA right now. That shouldn't be the case. So the Lakers are third at $8.07 billion. Mo, actually, Golden State is considered the second most valuable franchise in U.S. sports, trailing only the Dallas Cowboys, who are valued at $10.3 billion. Another owner in sports who sometimes it looks like, Mo, is more focused on making sure they hold on to that top spot as far as how much their team is worth, and not necessarily putting the best product out there to win games and championships. But the Golden State Warriors are number one in the NBA, and the Dallas Cowboys are number one in all of American sports. So there's that, Mo. There's that. That's how we're going to kick it off here on a Thursday morning. Also, Kirk Cousins backs Michael Penix Jr. Any surprises there, Mo?
I mean, he's taking the high road, which is smart. Like, it's not like if he didn't back him that Penix Jr. wasn't going to start anyway. So, yeah, good on Kurt for taking the high road. Like, he did the opposite of what the young men in San Francisco did. Didn't like the situation and just refused to come back in the game. So, yeah, good for Kurt.
Kirk said it's pro football, and there's a standard that I have for myself and the team has for me, and unfortunately, I wasn't playing up to that standard consistently enough. And so it is what it is, and you roll with it, and now you get ready, one play away kind of thing, and you support Mike and just try to help our team be able to find a way to win these last three games and get into the playoffs. That is what it's all about. Later on in the conference call, Kirk Cousins went on to say, quote, "It's not like I forgot how to play football." Well, we're not saying you forgot, Kirk. We're just saying it doesn't seem like you're very good at it right now.
Right. You just didn't play good football.
I mean, clearly, you're still out there playing a version of football. You're playing a version similar to Jameis Winston. You're playing a version similar to the young man there in Indianapolis, Anthony Richardson.
Yes.
Like, you're playing a version of football. You're just turning the football over a lot, and you're losing football games. Your team just needs you to not play that version. And hopefully Mike plays a better version, Mo.
You know what? I think Penix, look, it's his first start in the NFL, but I think he's a fairly confident guy. I mean, I'm not going to say he's going to go out there and light it up, but I don't think he's going to be afraid of the moment.
Hopefully. Mo, we got some NFL stuff coming around. Listen, everything is 2020, Mo. Reports came out yesterday that the 49ers regret signing Devondre Campbell. Go figure. Really? You don't say. Mike Shanahan said that we obviously made a mistake bringing Campbell to San Francisco. Really, Kyle? You don't say. Mo, do you find it interesting that they're not protecting him in any way? Like a lot of times in these situations, guys will do something and players and coaches will kind of take the stance of, we're not talking about that. It happened last week. We're not going to focus on that. It's already been addressed. He's no longer with the team right now. We'll deal with off-season business when we get to the off-season. We're focused on Miami this week. They're not doing that. When they're asked about it, they're saying, it was a mistake. We never should have signed the guy. like they're attacking it head on, which is refreshing to a certain extent. And then also, Mo, you kind of look at it from a certain point of view, and you're like, can we stop now? Can we talk about Miami? I know we're not in the playoffs race anymore, but can we just focus on Miami? Like, can we stop talking about him? Like, we already said what we had to say about Devondre Campbell. Let's kind of like move on with it here. Where does that sit with you as a Niners fan?
I think we should stop talking about it and talking about him. I feel like now they're kicking him while he's down. You regret signing him, but you didn't say anything about regretting signing him all the way up until he walked away and refused to come back in the game. So when did you regret? I mean, in that moment, I get it. You're emotional. The team's emotional. You're upset. But I had not heard anything about DeAndre Campbell in a negative tone from anybody.
Tackler, wasn't he?
Right. I think he was second, but still, I didn't hear anybody go, well, why do we have this guy on the team? And suddenly, I get it. It's a bad look. What he did was he broke a code. I understand all those things, but you can also take another stance and go, I don't know what's going on in his life outside of football. I don't know what may be going on in his head, in his home life. I don't know what you don't know what a person is dealing with. And we always talk about mental health. And I don't think Campbell has actually done an interview or spoken on the matter. But I think that the high road would be, you did what you did, you suspended him, stop talking about it.
And Kyle Shanahan isn't the only one talking about it. Debo did his weekly show this week. He had a bunch of quotes from his weekly show on the subject as well. Mo, I agree with you. It happens in the moment. Obviously, it made a bunch of headlines. By the way, the game sucked, so there wasn't much to talk about at the actual game. 12-6, all field goals. So yes, this was going to be the talk of the town when the game was over. But I agree with you. After it's the in the moment kind of stuff, you made the decision, you suspended him. Why are we still talking? You're 2 days away from your next game. I know you're out of the playoff hunt. You're playing a team that's out of the playoff hunt, but why are we still bringing him up? And to say that we never should have signed him, like, okay, I get it, Mo. NFL players don't walk off the field. We both said we've never seen anything like this, except for
Antonio Brown.
Yeah, except for Antonio Brown. But
right.
he listen, he belongs in a special category all to himself. Okay, we don't usually clump Antonio Brown in with other people, so we're gonna leave him alone in his island. Normally, we don't see things like this, but it's just one of those things where. Yeah, you don't see things like this. You talk about it, you suspended him, you handled it, and then we move on. And to sit here and say you never should have signed the guy, well, that's a little hyperbolic. He was playing well for you. Like you said, he's been to Pro Bowls. Like, he is a good football player. Now, was he what you were replacing on the injured list with Green? No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't that. But you didn't bring him in here to be that. You brought him in here to fill a hole, and he was filling the hole, and then he had some stuff going on. And like you said, Mo, we don't know what the stuff was, and maybe we will never know, but let it go. Let it go. And I'm sorry. At the end of the day, Mo, and like I said, I know it's a big deal in the moment. He walked out of his job. Like, people do it all the time. Talk about it in the moment, and then you let
This
it
is
go.
true. Right.
Because he could have done so many other things that were worth talking about, that were worth the negative attention. He did the thing. He got the negative attention. Now we let it go. Don't act like people don't always quit their jobs every single day, whether they're football players or they're something else. He had a moment. He quit his job, and we move on. Mo, funny story here. Michael Penix Jr., he was asked about when he got the call. He was at Costco and getting a hot dog. He got the call that he was going to be the starting quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons. He said, I was actually getting a hot dog. And when I got the call, I wasn't hungry no more. Good thing those Costco hot dogs are like $1.50, Mo.
Right. Yeah, good for him. Like I said, he's got to be excited for the opportunity to step into that role and maybe solidify himself as a starter going into next season.
Mo, Aaron Rodgers was asked about his future with the New York Jets, and he was very non-committal. Shocking, I know. He says that he will evaluate when he returns unless I get released.
Okay.
Gotcha, Aaron. Which, by the way, the Jets very well could do. They do have a player option for Aaron Rodgers, so they could decline the option, thus making him a free agent. I'm not sure where he's returning from. I would assume it's a darkness retreat, but who am I to say, Mo?
It's always some kind of retreat.
Who am I to say what Aaron does in his free time? In case you missed it, Mo, the Titans head coach Brian Callahan went on a rant yesterday. He was asked about his team being, quote, soft this season, and he was anything but soft in his response to that. Mo, in general, what is your take on NFL teams and defenses being called soft? Obviously, you got a group of guys that have been playing football basically their entire lives, right? And you're playing one of the most violent sports out there that is plausible to be played. So It's interesting that when you take guys on the defensive side of the ball who've been doing this basically their entire lives, and they're making the most money they'll ever make, unless you're a rookie and you could have stayed in college for another year and made some of that NIL money, but they're probably making the most money they're ever going to make doing this thing. And they're playing at the highest level of football you can play at. But yet you always have 4 or 5 teams that are considered soft on defense. Mo, is soft just a term that we just throw out there when the defense is bad? Like, instead of saying it's a bad defense, is that where we're getting? We just throw out soft because we have no other word to classify what the defense is?
I feel like that's exactly what it is. I feel like think about the Titans defense. I don't know if they're soft. I would say maybe they miss assignments. Maybe they're not that talented, right? Across the board, they're not that talented. But when you think of defensive players, don't you think of them, even if you're a bad team, don't you think of the defensive players as the tough guys on your football team? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know why people go to they're soft. Maybe it's easier to say than they're not very good. Maybe staying soft, they think they're being kinder by saying they're not very good. I think it comes down to if you can run down a team's throat, like people have ran down Dallas's throat most of all of this season, people will tell you that they're soft in the middle. I would tell you that their linebackers aren't very good.
Right.
That they're not soft. They're just not very good linebackers. And I think that's the same way with Tennessee. They've got blown assignments, and they're not that talented top to bottom on that side of the football.
I mean, Mo, I look at Miami's defense. Miami gets called soft all the time, and I'm like, they're not soft. They can't tackle. Like they tackle poorly. Like they will wrap someone up and they don't bring them down, and they break tackles. Like that's just poor execution. They're trying to tackle. It's not like they're running up to tackle the player and they're like, oh no, I'm going to get hit. And they move so the offensive player can run by them because they don't want to, like, to me, soft is you're weak, right? Like physically weak. Like you're out there trying to avoid hits. Like you're the wide receiver. I think this might be a good example. You're the wide receiver where you won't catch it over the middle because you don't want to get popped. Like I think that's soft. That is you avoid potentially not getting hurt. Well, yeah, but that is what it is, right? Like you avoid the big hit. Not because you think you're going to get injured, or maybe it is, but you just don't want to take the big hit. For me, Mo, that's what soft is. And that's what soft looks like on a football field is a wide receiver. Like, I just missed. Oh gosh, man. If he threw it to me, I could have caught it, but it was over there. So I didn't get it.
Those are the guys that get the alligator arms.
Right. Like that's because you don't want to take the hit. You don't want to get blown up. I don't see cornerbacks and safeties and linebackers like olaying people on offense to avoid contact. Not to mention the fact, Mo, especially when you're talking about wide receivers, a lot of these linebackers and whatnot, they're bigger than the wide receivers. There are some very slim wide receivers in the NFL. So a lot of times these are bigger guys on defense. And so it's not like they're going to get, I mean, sometimes they get trucked, but this the whole soft thing. I think it's old school NFL, and I think it's just a lack of a better term. Just say they're bad. Say they're not good at defense. Say they're not good at tackling. Say they're not good. They're not big enough up front. You see that all the time, right? You see offensive lines eat other defensive lines because they're just bigger. Just analyze it better. Now, Callahan took it personally. He took it as, a personal slight about his team's mental preparedness, and which I get it. But I think we just need to use better descriptors as far as describing defenses, because I think soft is it's just too easy of a go-to, Mo.
I agree. Look, maybe you could say my defensive coordinator needs to come up with a better game plan to set guys up for success. Maybe Tennessee's defense isn't that bad. Maybe it's the fact that their offense goes 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, that their defense is on the field all the time, that they wear down over time because they're on the field so much. Take that into the account. I do think it's clear that if your offense is horrible, that does play a role on your defense. And Tennessee's offense is horrible.
And, it's funny because we kind of hear it sometimes with offenses where we'll hear, they're finesse. Mm-hmm. They're a finesse offense. Well, what does that mean? That means that they're not a run the ball down your throat offense. They are a lot of icing on the cake, screen, short pass, timing offense. But say what they are. Say that they're not a physical, we're going to smash you on the line. That's what you're saying. When you say they're a finesse offense, what you're saying is they're not a power running team. When you're saying they're a finesse offense, you're saying that they're not going to line up and win the battle in the trenches, that they're going to try to trick you and do things and catch you off guard. Just say what it is. Right. It's not like, again, it's not like you have players on the offensive side who are sitting there like, we don't want to get hit. We're smooth out here. We're smooth on offense. So we're just like we're a different vibe, or that's not what it is. It's just an offensive strategy, Mo. Like they just pass the ball more.
Right. The first team that comes to mind when I hear that is the Greatest Show on Turf, right?
Right.
Guess what? They were a really good football team that went to 2 Super Bowls. They were a really good football team. And like you said, yeah, I get it. There are some teams that try to fool you with misdirection and different formations. Not everybody's going to be, let's put 2 tight ends in and hand the ball to Derrick Henry. That's really, that strategy is a strategy more from yesteryear anyway. Like most teams in today's NFL, they don't roll like that. This is a passing league. Running backs, I think, still have great value, but running backs, even great running backs, are a complement to your passing game.
We've heard NFL players in the past talk about how they play or use Madden to prepare for Sundays. Tyreek Hill talks about this all the time. Tyreek Hill plays as himself when he plays Madden.
Of course.
And of course he does. And he often talks about how, he knows all the different players on defense for different teams because he sees them in Madden. And he pays attention to the guys that he can cook in Madden. And he's like, if I can cook them in Madden, I can cook them in real life. And, some of that isn't just, but I truly believe that, Tyreek does pay attention to playbooks and different things that are happening in Madden. The New York Jets have taken this to a whole new level, Mo. There was a lot of traction during the offseason with the New York Jets about potentially trading for wide receiver Jerry Jeudy from the Denver Broncos. That did not happen, and Jeudy was eventually traded to the Cleveland Browns. The Jets were asked about what kind of went wrong with that deal because we've seen Jerry Jeudy kind of emerge in Cleveland as a go-to option for Jameis Winston. And looking at the New York Jets and Aaron Rodgers, man, wouldn't Aaron have loved a guy like Jerry Jeudy this season, running all over the place, catching all those balls? Well, Mo, it's very simple. First of all, apparently Woody Johnson plays Madden, or he knows about Madden, because he felt Jerry Jeudy's ranking was too low for a trade.
I'm guessing Jerry Jeudy's probably rated in the 70s or something like
Yep.
that. So, yeah.
Too low.
So
Too low.
He's like, we can't have a 77.
We can't get a 70s. 77? No.
Right.
Maybe if he was an 80, but not in the 70s.
A 77, you're going to be like our fourth receiver, right? Or something like that. Look, as a person who plays Madden, and I get it, Madden has become so sophisticated, and so you almost feel like you are designing plays on an NFL level, and I get why guys like Tyreek really get into it, and I don't know that it's a bad thing, but if you're a general manager, I don't know if you want to look at a guy and go, that guy's a 73. I'm not trading for a 73. Like, it's a game, man. And the game does make in-season adjustments if you go on live because guys have career years, right? So a guy that was
the issue. It was the preseason. He didn't even get his adjustments yet.
See, that's the mistake. Jerry Jeudy was projected to be that, but he's actually turned out to be a very good, solid player for the Cleveland Browns.
He's like an 82 right now. He could have had an 82.
Right. He could have had an 82, right?
Oh, how does this story even come out? What are we doing in New York?
I'm not sure I would have made that public. I wouldn't have made that
public. Woody was like, we got to get Aaron. He's a 99. We got to get Aaron.
Right. Well, yeah.
It's a guaranteed Super Bowl right there. It's a 99. I can't.
So that explains why they brought Devontae Adams over, because I know he's
100%. He's like a 98.
Yeah, and I get it. He's a great player.
Oh my gosh, Mo, we got football coming up this weekend. Let's take a look at the NFL slate. Let's start breaking it down and see what it is that we got going on. We'll start with our teams because they're playing each other. We're both 6-8. I think we're both still mathematically alive if a bunch of other much better teams than us lose football games. I think we could still sneak into the playoffs. I mean, for me, the Dolphins don't beat teams with winning records. The Niners don't have a winning record, so I look at that and say, hey, there's a chance. The Dolphins are playing at home in this game. Injury-wise, the Dolphins seem to be pretty healthy. I don't know. I mean, the Dolphins, they suck right now. So I have no idea, Mo.
I feel like we're looking into the same mirror.
We're the same team. We're the same team because, the Dolphins at their best are 35 points, two receivers. Oh, actually, no, they're not healthy. Waddle got hurt. Two receivers over 100 yards. But at their best, so are the Niners. But the Niners got Ayuk injured. I'm going to say because of the Waddle injury and because of the Grant Dubois injury, even though I don't love the Niners defense, I think that Tua is going to try to force feed Tyreek Hill. And I think the Niners are going to try to take Tyreek away. So I say the Dolphins find a way to lose this game. So I'm gonna go Niners. This is just disappointing, Mo. This should have been us. This should have been us celebrating being in the playoffs, but instead we're both sitting here at 6-8.
6-8, and like you said, mathematically still in the hunt, but that would mean that everybody in our division and some of the people in your conference would have to have just incredible collapses for both of our teams to get back in it. Look, I'm gonna root for the Niners to win. I don't know if they win or not. I think these two teams are very similar in some of their flaws and the things that they need to correct and address in the offseason. I don't even know if Purdy's not 100%. I don't even know if I would play the guy. Honestly, I don't know. I wouldn't play him. And we're down to our fourth running back. I don't know what the offense is going to look like. Not very good. If it looks like it did against the Rams, we're definitely losing. And the defense was okay. It was actually pretty good against a very high-powered offense. It actually put forth one of their better performances. It was just in a loss. So I'm going to pick the Dolphins to win. I just think you guys have more firepower.
That's nice. We're so nice to each other. We pick each other's teams to win. Both our teams suck. Ugh. The Buffalo Bills are hosting the New England Patriots. The Buffalo Bills are a 14-point favorite. They should roll here. I don't give the Patriots much chance at all in this game. It's in Buffalo. Josh Allen's playing great football. It should be over by halftime.
Yeah, I think the Bills roll, but wouldn't this be the perfect setup for a trap game?
Who do they play next?
Well, that would tell the tale. But yeah, because you're looking past the Patriots.
They got the Jets next. No, they're good.
No trap game.
No trap game. No trap game. The Bills are going to roll. This is a big game. This will actually I take back my Dolphin pick. If the Chargers lose tonight, the Dolphins are still mathematically alive in the playoffs. I think you see a difference, and I know they always play to win. Okay. If the Chargers lose tonight to the Broncos, the Dolphins are still alive in the playoffs, and I think you see a still playoff hungry team on Sunday playing with the whole "oh, you say we have a chance" mindset. So I'm going Broncos tonight, only because I'm a rooting Dolphin fan, and I am rooting for that slim hope to stay alive. So I'm going to go Broncos tonight over the Chargers just to keep the Dolphins' playoff hopes alive.
I'm going Broncos because I think they've been playing the better football of the two teams. I remember saying, look, I said the Chargers look like they were a year ahead of schedule, but they seem to be kind of coming back to earth. And when you look at the Chargers, we talk about Tomlin doing with smoke and mirrors. I think the same could be said of Jim Harbaugh. I think you look at the talent they have on the outside. They don't have a lot of great skilled position players on offense. The defense has been better than expected, but I'm going to go with the Broncos. I think the Broncos win, and I think it's a tough game, but I think the Broncos win a tough game.
And Mo, isn't Denver the perfect situation where two things can be right at once? I think Sean Payton was right, and I think Russell Wilson was right too. I think two things can be right at once. Sean Payton was right that Russell Wilson couldn't be his quarterback, and I agree with that. And I think that Russell Wilson was right, even though he didn't say it, but I guarantee you he thought it deep down inside that he was better and that Sean Payton was the issue that was holding Russell Wilson back. And I think Russ has proven that with the Pittsburgh Steelers. They just didn't work together. Sean needed a quarterback that would do exactly what he wanted that quarterback to do, exactly when he wanted that quarterback to do it, and run the same system that worked for him for so many years over there in New Orleans. And Russ wasn't that guy. But Bo Nix is that guy. And look where they are. 9-5. They're looking for their 10th win of the season. I think you and I projected 4 or 5 wins for this team.
We did.
And for me, Mo, it's a situation where two things can be right at the same time. Sean's found his quarterback. It appears to be working. Russ has found a second lease on life over in Pittsburgh. We'll see how the season ends and what happens moving forward. But for me, it doesn't get much better of a separation considering how messy it was than the end result for Sean Payton and Russ this season.
No, and I I rooted for Russ to have a big year. He's turned around and had a really good season. It's odd though, even though he's had a really good season, I feel like if the Steelers falter late in the year, we're going to be having this conversation again about the Steelers need to find a starting quarterback. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like I guess because people are kind of down on Russ, that he doesn't really have that leeway that most starting quarterbacks have. I feel like he's on a short leash, one or two losses in a row, and yeah, Russell Wilson's the problem and not the answer. I think Russ can still play good football. I think he's proven that. And maybe Mike Tomlin knew that ahead of time before most of us. But I'm not saying the Steelers are going to go on a Super Bowl run, because I don't think they have the kind of talent you need to go on a Super Bowl run. Pickens is a special talent, but he's been out the last few games, and I don't know when he's coming back. Because their offense doesn't look the same without him, because he's the one guy you really got a game plan for. And now that he's gone, the other team's defenses are looking at their wide receiver core going, yeah, we can play man. We're good. So, yeah, look, I think Russ has had a good year. You're right about Sean Payton. He made a good call knowing what he wanted. Bo Nix has answered the call. It was a win-win for both guys.
Mo, Russ has only started 8 games this season, which is a good number because you can essentially double those numbers and kind of project what his numbers would have looked like if he started a full season. So 8 games into the season, he'll obviously start the final 3. He'll be 5 or 6 short of a full season. But right now he's sitting at just under 2,000 yards passing, 13 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. If you double those numbers, he's just under 4,000 yards passing, 26 touchdowns, which would have matched his production in Denver last season, 6 interceptions, which would have been just under his numbers last season in Denver. He's playing basically the same football he was playing in Denver, which, by the way, in his first season in Denver, we didn't think he had a great year. But after last year, we said there were times where we thought he could have pushed the ball down the field more. But again, we don't know what he was being told. We don't know what he was dealing with Coach Payton. But just looking at his numbers last season, we were like, he's not terrible. He's middle. He's at worst, he's a middle of the pack quarterback in the NFL. Right. 26 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. He's not going out there passing for 300 yards a game. He's definitely a game manager-esque type of player. Just don't turn it over, don't lose it. And we said if he could go do that for the Pittsburgh Steelers, that's what Pittsburgh needs. They got a defense, they got a running game, and that's basically what he's done. He's on pace to produce the same numbers if he played the whole season with Pittsburgh that he did last year with Denver. So to his credit, he's basically still the same guy. It's not like he found a new lease on life and he's out there throwing for 4,000 yards and 35 touchdowns or anything crazy like that. Right. He's playing older version Russell Wilson football. He's taking care of the football. And he's allowing the defense to do their thing. He's allowing the run game to do their thing. He's allowing the smoke and mirrors of, Coach Tomlin to do his thing. And they're winning football games. So
he's playing good complementary football.
Yeah. So hats off to Coach Payton for being right. Hats off to Russell Wilson for being right. And I guess we don't get a hat because we were wrong about the Denver Broncos. So
really wrong.
The 9-5 Houston Texans go to the 13-1 Kansas City Chiefs. Texans got a good defense. I saw that firsthand last week, but I'm not impressed by the Texans offense. And I think the Chiefs are going to keep them in check. The explosiveness isn't there. Their running back is banged up now. The Chiefs are on a timeline here, Mo. They need to lock up the number 1 seed in the next 5 days. That is what they are looking to do. They need to beat the Chiefs and then go beat the Steelers on Christmas, lock up the 1 seed, and then give their guys 3 weeks to rest. So they're on a mission. I think it's going to be close. It's probably going to be ugly, but the Chiefs win against the Texans.
If it's a low-scoring, ugly game, that favors Kansas City, and I think that's exactly what it's going to be. It's going to come down to who turns the ball over more. I think both teams have good defenses. Kansas City's is the better defense. I'm going to trust Spags and his crew to control the game, and I think Patrick Mahomes and the offense will do just enough.
The 10-4 Steelers head to the 9-5 Baltimore Ravens. All right, Mo. Lamar Jackson needs to win this football game. I don't know. I don't know how else to frame it. I don't know what else to say about it. He needs to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's not very good at beating the Pittsburgh Steelers. Obviously, a loss here with only 2 games left in the season after this. Actually, this is it. It clinches the division. If the Steelers win this game, they're up by 2, and they have the tiebreaker. So the division's on the line. This will get them back into a tie with the Steelers for the division. I don't think they're going to do it, though. I don't think they can beat the Steelers. I think you saw the first game this season, and all the pressure was still there about his record against Pittsburgh and whatnot, and it being a big game. But now there's more, because now the division's on the line. And now the Steelers are coming into town saying, we are 1 win away from wrapping up the division. Like, as motivated as the Baltimore Ravens are going to be to win this game, I think the Steelers are going to be even more motivated because they know they can wrap up the division. The swing here, Mo, is ridiculous. It goes from either we win the division or we're tied and we don't have tiebreaker anymore. Like,
Right.
That's the swing here from a win to a loss, which is a huge swing. And a lot of times, Mo, you see games like this where it's like the other team is like, well, if we lose, we lose. I mean, we've beaten the brakes off of them, how many times now? Like, eventually they're going to get 1 against us. Like, they're still motivated, but in the back of their minds, you're like, it is what it is if they lose. But we don't have that here because the division's on the line. So I think you might see the best performance of the year from the Pittsburgh Steelers as they are trying to lock up the AFC North. I'm going Steelers here.
I think the Steelers will be motivated too because, like you said, they're in a similar situation with the Chiefs, trying to lock up the number 1 seed. They win this game, they've won the division. They're good. My only concern is if they don't have Pickens playing, then they become one-dimensional. And when they're and what happens is the teams walk a safety up and they play 8 or 9 man in the box because they're not afraid of those other guys beating man coverage. If you take away the run game, the offense is literally stagnant. So while I think the Steelers will be motivated, if they're not going to have their number 1 receiver, I think the Ravens win.
The Cleveland Browns head to the Cincinnati Bengals. I think the Bengals are going to win here. I think Joe Burrow is going to put up good numbers, and I think he is still going to be a dark horse to win MVP. His numbers are great this season, by the way. I'm going Bengals.
I'm going Bengals as well, and I think Joe Burrow and the offense will continue to put up big numbers.
Cardinals head to the Panthers. The Cardinals are trying to get to 8-7. They are trying to stay alive in the wild card race over there in the NFC. The Panthers have been playing some better football. I'm going to go Arizona here, though.
I'm going Arizona, but it wouldn't surprise me if it was a close game.
Now, here's a good one, Mo. The 12-2 Chiefs or the 12-2 Eagles go to the 9-5 Commanders. This game is pretty big for Washington because they do have a handful of teams that are trying to chase them down in the wild card spot. Obviously, the division is going to be out of reach here for Washington. This is a big game. It's a division game. This is the hardest game remaining on their schedule. It is a home game. This is tough because I think the Eagles win here, which is unfortunate for Washington because it's going to potentially close the gap. I think the Rams are 1 game behind them. So if the Rams win this week and Washington loses, they're tied. And then if the Cardinals knock off the Panthers, now they're 1 game back instead of 2. I think this is going to tighten up the wild card race in the NFC. I think the Eagles are going to win.
Eagles are the better football team. I think the Redskins have been fading as of late, and maybe that has a lot to do with the league already adjusting to the young quarterback. It's going to be a tough loss, and it's going to press the Redskins to have to win out afterwards. But I think the Eagles are just a better team. They're going to win.
The Detroit Lions head to the Chicago Bears. This isn't going to be a close game. Just replay the Minnesota tape. Now, the Bears will score more points because the Lions' defense isn't as good as the Vikings' defense. But I think the Lions are going to score more points than the Vikings did because their offense is a lot better than the Minnesota offense.
Fair.
Either way, it's going to be the same result for the Chicago Bears, and it's going to be their 11th loss of the season. I'm going Lions, and I think they're going to roll.
I think the Lions roll as well too. That offense is a juggernaut. They may have their struggles on defense, but are they going to play Superman every other week where he can do what he did? I think that there's a strategy for Detroit going into the postseason that if you can get up on teams, you can be a little bit more creative on defense. So I think they take Chicago out. Look, Chicago right now, I feel like you're just trying to get some kind of rhythm, some kind of confidence for Caleb Williams, but playing against Detroit, I don't know. I don't know if that's the right team to gain your confidence.
I think they've lost 8 in a row. The Bears have.
Yeah,
it's crazy, absolutely crazy. The Falcons, the Michael Penix Jr. era has begun. Mo, they are home to the Giants, and they're going to beat the Giants, and they're going to get to 8-7. So I am all on board with the Falcons this week.
I'm excited for the Michael Penix Jr. Era. And I think the Falcons do find a way. And look, like I said, I don't know what his numbers look like, but if he plays clean football, I think they're going to win that football game.
Mo, I've told you all season, watch out for those Rams. The Rams are a win over the Jets and a Commander loss to the Eagles away from being tied for the final playoff spot in the NFC. I think both of those things are going to happen. I think the Rams go into the Meadowlands and they knock off the Jets and get to 9-6. I'm going Rams.
The Rams are so Jekyll and Hyde, but they've got all their guys back on offense. And look, on paper, you would think, well, the Jets defense can make plays, which they may. But I'm going to go with the Rams too. When they're whole offensively with Nakua, Stafford. It's a scary offense. I'm going to go Rams too.
The Titans play Indy this week in the who cares what's going to happen game. I believe the Titans have benched Will Levis. I don't think it's going to make a difference. Maybe it will. I don't know. I just can't trust the Colts. Mo, do you realize the Colts were on the verge of going up 19-13 or something crazy like that? Hang on, let me actually pull it up. Let's talk about this for a minute. Mo, why do players drop the football before they get into the end zone?
Oh God,
help me understand that one.
I go back all the way back, and you might remember this when Deshaun Jackson was playing for the Eagles, and he did that.
Yep.
He celebrated premature and dropped the ball, and it actually was on the other side of the goal line when he dropped the ball. It's supposed to be a way, I guess, to be cocky and show off, but don't do that, man. Just run through the end zone. If you want to drop the football, drop it on the back end of the end zone. Drop it then.
So Jonathan Taylor drops the ball going into the end zone. It's a turnover. That was with 12.5 minutes to play in the third quarter. It would have put the Colts up 20-13. They lose that game 31-7. They didn't score after that, and Denver went on a 24-0 run in the second half to close out the game. And yeah, they were playing for their playoff lives in that game. That would have got them back to 500, and that would have put them back into the wild card race had Indy won that game. Oh, and by the way, it would have put them one game behind Denver, who they were chasing in the wild card race had they won that game. Good teams win football games, Mo. Bad teams find ways to lose football games. And you and I know this firsthand this season.
Agreed.
That being said, they're both really bad teams. I'm going to go Tennessee because they got a new quarterback.
I'm going to go Tennessee as well, only because even though the other quarterback may struggle initially, he won't struggle any more than Anthony Richardson will. Anthony Richardson is going to keep Tennessee in the game.
It's so true.
That sounds mean.
So true.
Sound mean.
The Minnesota Vikings head to the Seattle Seahawks. Mo, this is a big game for Seattle. I just don't think they're going to knock off Minnesota. I'm going Minnesota here, but this is a big game for Seattle if they can get a win here.
Is Geno playing because he got injured? Is he going to be able to play?
I don't know if he's going to play.
Because now you're putting it on Sam Howell, who can be capable.
Like Sam, by the way, I like Sam.
Howell's a good player, but he's very streaky. He can be very streaky. I just think that the better team's going to win the football game.
I think Minnesota is the defense too. Their defense is, it's good.
look, Brian Flores is doing his thing. He's coming up with all kind of interesting things to confuse quarterbacks, zone blitzes, the whole nine. I just think Minnesota is the better football team.
We got the Jaguars and the Raiders. Again, who cares? I have no idea who's playing starting quarterback for the Raiders. I think it's Desmond Ridder. None of their quarterbacks have stayed healthy this season. Ridder, O'Connell, or what's his name? You know, the guy who's playing Jacksonville. Long hair, mustache, that guy. You know who I'm talking about, though.
Our guy, he started for the Colts too, right?
We're talking about, you know who I'm talking about. You know exactly who I'm talking about.
Everybody out there listening, talking about mustache guy. He's kind of Ron Jeremy-ish, that guy.
You know that guy. The Raiders need to lose this game just for draft pick purposes. So if you're a Raiders fan, root for your team to lose. You're getting close to the end of the season. They only have 2 wins. A third win could heavily impact your draft stock. So root for the Jacksonville Jaguars to get a win here. And that's how we roll. Because, like I said, if you get a win here, you're hurting your draft stock. Buccaneers and Cowboys, the Baker train is in full swing. I'm happy the Atlanta Falcons are probably going to get a win this week, Mo. But they're not winning the division because they don't play Baker again. So I think the Baker train is going to roll against the Cowboys. I don't care what the Cowboys did last week. Doesn't matter. Doesn't mean anything to me. The Baker train is in town this week. They're going to get to 9 wins. Guys, it's playoff time. He's a fine wine. He's better in November and December. I like me some Baker Mayfield. Let's go Bucks.
I'm going Bucks. I think the Bucks run game is underrated. They've got a nice 2-headed monster at running back. I think Mike Evans is going to have a big day as well. I think the Baker train just keeps rolling.
And then Monday night, it's probably going to be a snooze fest. The Saints and the Packers. I think the Packers are going to roll here. They're going to get to 11 wins. The Saints, they're soft. They're soft, Mo.
Is that what it is? Soft.
They're just not very good.
Soft.
It's going to be soft. They're going to be soft. You going to go Saints in the upset?
You know how I feel about it.
You love Derek Carr, no?
I don't dislike him. I don't want people to be like, it's personal. It's not
personal. I don't think it's personal.
It's not personal. I'm just not a big fan. That's all. Everybody's always talking about how nice a guy he is, and I'm like, that doesn't mean that you want him as your starting quarterback. But okay, I feel
like Josh Allen. It's not personal. It is.
See,
personal.
There you go.
I hate Josh Allen.
I'm not rooting for the Saints. I just think the better team's going to win, and I don't think it's the Saints. How about
that? But not because they're soft.
No, they're not. No, they're not soft. They're football players. They're not soft.
Do you remember the tag team in WWE, Enzo Amore and Big Cass?
I remember that because I believe Enzo used to rap.
He did, and he would talk about people being soft. SAWFT.
Right. I remember that. What happened to them? They fell off really quick.
Enzo got fired. He had some antics backstage with the ladies. That was frowned upon.
That'll get you fired.
He was shown the door, and then we found out real quick that Big Cass wasn't very great without a mouthpiece. He's over in AEW though. I think he was rolling in Chris Jericho's group for a while over there.
Oh, you know what? I know you're right. He got a similar name there. It's big. Is it big something?
Big something, large something.
It's big something else too, like Big Bob or something.
Yeah, something like that. Speaking of WWE, I want to give WWE some props here. Mo, I'm sure you've seen it. This stuff with Kevin Owens, it's gold. It is freaking the interviews in the car. They're refusing to come into the building. He has stolen the vintage WWE championship from Cody Rhodes, and he's now referring to himself as the WWE champion. And he's talking about how he's going to make his debut on Netflix in a couple of weeks as the WWE champion. He's really excited to bring his it's gold. It reminds me very much of the magic they captured with Kevin Owens when he was with Chris Jericho and they were doing the best friend bit. And there was the list, and they were the greatest best friends ever. And it was, they started doing it, and you're watching like, this is stupid. Like, what are we? And then 2 weeks later, you're like, I'm in. You bought the shirt. Like, you were walking around telling people they're on the list. Like, you were fully bought in. And when the stuff started with Owens a few weeks ago, and he was fired, and he was banned from the building, and he was going to sit and do an interview in the car. This is stupid. Like, what are we doing right now? And now he's showing up in like the tuxedo t-shirts, and he's telling Michael Cole, I dressed to the nines for you, Michael. Like, it's just good. It's just entertaining. And, props to WWE for allowing a guy like Kevin Owens to take something that, could have easily been a one-off. And, he's suspended 1 week. He's back the next week. And he's just heel Kevin Owens, but allowing him to put his personality into it and allowing him to, make it his own. It's entertaining now. It's the same thing I feel like they did with Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan's never going to be what Rhea or Charlotte or Becky or Bayley are in the ring. Like, that's not her lane in life. But to sit here and say that she isn't one of the most entertaining people on WWE TV right now, you're lying to yourself, because she is. And I get it, Mo. Some people might be upset because she isn't what those other people I just mentioned are in the ring. But this is proof in Liv's case where you can be good in the ring, but she's good. She's not great. But you can be good and then be great at all the other stuff, and you can get over. And that's exactly what she's done. She worked her ass off to be good, and it took her a minute to get there. Let's not forget Riot Squad version of Liv Morgan back in the day.
Right.
But she got to where she needed to be, and then she figured out the character stuff, and here we are, Mo, and I'm here for it.
She's come a long way, and it's funny because her boyfriend is kind of similar, right? Dom is not a finished product, but he's so good at the other thing that makes you love to hate him. And he's got that natural heat. I love what Kevin Owens is doing. I feel like it's almost like a rebirth for Kevin Owens. I haven't seen Kevin Owens be this entertaining in years. And I think he has to be having the time of his life embracing this storyline and being free to do what he's doing right now. Like, right now, the two guys that seem to be putting their personalities and imprint on their storylines, Drew McIntyre and Kevin Owens.
And completely different, by the way.
Right.
Because Drew's taken the personal, the serious approach, me against the world, which, by the way, at one point it was him against the world in WWE. And it's real. And with Drew, you feel that. And with Kevin, you look at it and you're like, this dude's insane. But he also kind of makes sense. Like, he's insane. But I kind of see where he's coming from. It's kind of logical in that twisted Kevin Owens kind of. I love it, Mo. I'm here for it. The debut on Netflix, I feel like it's going to be like a mini pay-per-view. They got Roman Reigns versus Solo for the Ula Fala, which, by the way, and I'm going to give props to WWE for this, because I think they easily could have done this. And I think on a certain level, it might have been disrespectful, but it would have made them a crap ton of money. They're not selling Ula Falas on WWEshop.com. But I guarantee you, if they did, the amount of money they would make on the Ula Fala would be out of this world. But props to them for not doing it, because that, for those of you who don't know, that is actually a thing. Like, that is a thing for the Samoan people and the Samoan heritage. Like, that is a real thing they use as a sign of respect, and in their customs and in their traditions. So props to WWE for not going that route. But again, I think they would have made a crap ton of money if they did.
I can see that now, the Ula Fala by Mattel, right?
Right. And everyone would have one too.
Little kids would have one, right? Yeah, exactly.
But they didn't do that, so I'm happy about that. But that opening Raw, that opening Netflix show, it's got Roman and Soa for the Ula Fala. It's got CM Punk and Seth Rollins, which, dear God, That we've been waiting to see for freaking months and months and months now.
Yes.
The Rock's going to be there potentially. It's basically building into a pay-per-view, a mini pay-per-view. So
what did you think about the Saturday night main event?
They did. So it's tough because you go into those things knowing nothing earth-shattering is going to happen, right? There's not going to really be any major title changes. There's not really going to be anything crazy because it's not a pay-per-view, not like a normal pay-per-view. And we're getting ready to go to Royal Rumble in January. We're getting ready to really start the road to WrestleMania. So you know in the back of your head as like a wrestling fan, you're not going to get anything earth-shattering. What I give WWE credit for is you really felt like you were watching something from the 80s, even with the modern touches.
Yes.
Like you didn't, in my opinion, you didn't look at it and say they tried. They did their, like you looked at it and said, that was a great presentation. I thought Jesse the Body Ventura was spot on. I thought that he was relevant. I thought that he knew the product. I thought that some of the stuff that he said was absolutely bananas when he was talking about how his coat was made from the skin.
Jake the Snake. Yeah,
like
Damien.
But again, like crazy to say, but at the same time, completely relevant and makes sense if you're a wrestling fan. Like I thought he was fantastic. I loved Cody's belt. I thought that the crowning of the U.S. champion was interesting. The match wasn't great, but it was cool to see the moment of the first women's U.S. champion crowned. I thought overall the in-ring stuff was good. It was an elevated Raw or SmackDown in my opinion, and I thought it was good.
Yeah, I like what you said about how it felt. It had a feel throughout the show that it was like an 80s show. I get that vibe. Really, I really got that heavy vibe from that. And then hearing the Body's voice and him talking, I'm like, he hasn't missed a beat. He's like the same dude, right? Like,
and he's old too.
He's old, right? Right. He's old, and he sounds the same. He hasn't missed a beat. Really quick witted. I enjoyed it, and it felt like at first I thought it felt like a house show,
right?
But I think as it went along, I see where you're coming from. It's an elevated episode of Raw or SmackDown. I enjoyed it.
And if you went into it thinking pay-per-view quality, you were disappointed. It was never going to be that.
No, I didn't think belts were going to change. I didn't think that was going to happen at all.
But if you went into it thinking this is going to be a better version of Raw or SmackDown, it was. It was definitely a better version of a Raw or a SmackDown. I will say this though. This is just a me personal thing. Because I don't have cable. I have all the other things. I have Netflix. I have Hulu. I have Disney. But I think I have all the streaming apps, which probably cost me more than cable, Mo. But I don't actually have cable. Which means when it goes to Netflix, I can watch Raw every week now. Right now, I just watch highlights because I don't have cable. So
we're on the same page. We're on the same page. I have every streaming app. And by the way, this is the idea, and for everybody out there listening, that my wife came up with, because she goes, cable's really expensive. And we don't need cable.
Girl math. Here comes the girl math.
But then we have to have Netflix. And then we have to have Prime Video. And then we have to have Disney, and I'm leaving something out. We've got HBO Max, and I'm looking at her, and I'm like, you do know when it's all said and done how much we're paying? She goes, no, we're saving. I'm like, okay. I was like, I don't want to get into a fight, so I'm just saying, I'm like you. I don't have cable, but I've got 1,000 streaming apps.
And then 4 or 5 times a year, you're perusing your email. And you're like, oh, Disney's going up $3. Oh, Amazon's going up $1.
Netflix
they're all going up $2.99. All get a little bit higher.
Yeah, and the thing is, all jokes aside, because Netflix is doing more live things, maybe in the next year or so, they're gonna hike it up some more. Like I told her at some point we're gonna have to part ways with Netflix.
Well, or you're going to need the Netflix Plus package to get access to all those live things.
I think that's coming. Now, here's the clever thing. So when she got Disney, she goes, "There's something in it for you because we got Disney. You can watch ESPN." Because I was like, "Oh, that's cool." So I thought that was a good idea. But I'm like you. I'm pretty sure we're paying for more than what we were paying for with cable.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we are taking a 72-hour break. Mo, close us out, sir.
Thank you guys so much for joining us this week. We appreciate you guys so much. Make sure you check out all the great content we have Wire to Wire Network. Wire to Wire Network. We appreciate you.
Hey, we're back here Monday morning breaking down everything that happened in the NFL weekend. We got games tonight. We got games on Saturday. We got games on Sunday. We got games on Monday, Mo. It's that time of the year. We got football all around. Make sure you're back here Monday morning, same time, same place, Coffee and Sports. It's the morning show powered by Wire to Wire Network, and we'll see all of you